been a while since we did a battle report, so let's turn on the lights and get back on the table. Alright guys, so for today, we are in Chapter 5 of our Made to Suffer Walking Dead All Out War campaign, and you can see we are playing on the big map. This is a 20 by 40 mat laid out there, and we've got our prison fence dividing it, because today we have the governor, who's brought a tank to the game, and he is going to go over and use that to take on Rick, who is back here. So, like I said, this is a big game. We've got 17 combined survivors between both teams, and for the sides to win, they just have to either take out half of the other team's army, rounding up. So for the governor, he's got to take out 4. For Rick, he's got to take out 5. Or if the governor can just manage to take out Rick, who is hanging out back here behind the ambulance with Michonne, Tyrese, and Herschel, he can win the game pretty much automatically. We've got a couple of house rules that are going to be sprinkled in there, and we'll cover them as we come to them during the game there. I'm not sure why my camera is flipping out there. We'll get past that, and I'll take this thing out of my hands, drop it on a tripod, and we will get into turn 1. Alright, so turn 1, and the threat is going to start on 4 for this game, so we're already in low threat. We're going to start with Billy, and Billy's going to make a 4-inch sneak move backwards, go up the ladder, and be on top of the prison. That brings Billy up here, and what we're going to do now is use his AK-47 to take a couple shots at the group down there next to that white van. So if you've seen some of my battle reports in the past, you know that I like to show the dice rolls. Unfortunately, my tabletop is extremely full here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and roll the results and then tell you what they are. So like I said, Billy's going to do a shot with the AK-47, which is multiple shots. It gives him an additional red die with his red and white base. And he is going to be shooting to start at Eugene. And Eugene has a red and a white as his base. He's not wearing any body armor. So I'll go ahead and roll that, and I'll tell you what the results are. Alright, so Billy did 3 shots, all at Eugene, and he's only able to inflict 1 point of damage. The Mayhem is going to up the threat by 1, so we're going to go up to 5. And now we'll come over to the governor's side, and we outfitted the entire governor team, and we're going to use them action-wise in accordance with the No One Stands Alone rulebook, which is available on the Manic site. It's great for solo play, and that's what we're going to use this go-round. So we're going to start with Bruce. Bruce is a tactician. Tacticians, according to those rules, always try to play the objective. So that's what he's going to do here, and he's going to do it in a very bold way. He's going to jump into the black pickup truck, and he's going to use both actions to then ram the fence. And that will allow some of the walkers to make their way onto Rick's side of the board. So, into the truck, and straight forward. And that's what we wound up with. So the truck charges forward, it takes out that fence panel, causes mayhem, ups the threat by 1, we move in all the walkers within 10 inches of it, and then Bruce jumps out of the driver's door and is ready for his next action that we'll get to on his next turn. Back over on Rick's side, we have Andrea up there in the prison tower, and she is going to rain down onto Bruce, who just ran the truck through the gate. So for Andrea, she has an M4 carbine, which is multiple shots. She can take 2 shots, adding a white die to her blue base, shooting down onto Bruce, who has 2 red as his defense with no kind of armor. And after the 2 shots, Andrea is able to take away 5 points of health from Bruce, leaving him with 1 left. One of those house rules that we talked about earlier in the game, for Mayhem, because there are so many firearms in this game, we're only going to increase the threat by 1 per side per turn. So, because Billy already made Mayhem on his team, we up the threat by 1 for Rick's team. Because Bruce made Mayhem on his side, we're not going to up the threat anymore on that side, just because the game would end so quickly. So keep that in mind. Threat's already been increased by 1 on each side. If it goes up again, it will be because of either the event card or the melee phase. All right, over on this side, again, for the governor's team, we're going to take Tom in the white t-shirt there next to the white van. He's also going to jump inside of there, run that van into the fence as well. All right, so we got this big gaping hole here in the middle of the fence. Most of the walkers have moved towards the black truck, have now moved over towards the white truck. And again, Tom is out there waiting to take his next turn inside of the prison grounds. Dale back there behind the police car is going to go and take a shot at Bruce and see if he can finish him off. So he's going to be using a Remington 700, which will add 2 additional red dice to his already impressive red and white shooting value. And remember, Bruce has a defense of 2 red. So Dale is able to take out Bruce, but in doing so, he has drawn a lot of attention from those other walkers. So remember, we're not going to up the threat tracker, but the mayhem is going to draw in a lot of walkers. Bruce has been taken out and replaced by the prone walker there in the red shirt. All right, around the governor's side, we're going to go ahead and take Eugene, and he's a bruiser, so he's going to want to make contact with the closest possible survivor, and to do that, he's going to make an 8-inch run action straight ahead. So he charges for the opening there and draws in the closest walker to him. So not wanting to leave Dale in a bad spot over there and take on all those walkers by himself, we're going to go to Michonne and have Michonne make an 8-inch run action over there to try and pick up a couple of those walkers. So we bring her over there, and she takes on that one walker now. So Gabe back there is also a bruiser. We're going to take him and go 8 inches forward, trying to get through the hole in the fence. And he moves up and draws in a walker into him as well. Alright, here we're going to take Tyrese, and Tyrese has the athletic special rule. It says he can run 10 inches instead of 8. So we're going to take Tyrese, have him run around the back side of the ambulance, and then make it over there into contact with Tom. So that way we can have Tyrese plus the walker in melee against him. And because that run created noise, we're going to draw in the closest walker to Tyrese, which now pulls her over into contact with Tom as well. Alright, here we're going to take the governor, and he's going to take his rightful place on top of the tank. That way, in the next turn, he can go ahead and fire the turret. Alright, now over here, I just have Rick and Herschel left. And remember, Rick has to stay alive in order to win this game. So I don't want to just run him out there knowing that the governor still has a lot of marksmen left to take their turns. But I also don't want to play over conservatively and just keep him back here hiding the whole game. So we're going to use his first action to try and lower the threat. And then second action, we're just going to sneak him around there towards the front side of that ambulance. So we managed to lower the threat by 1, back down to 5. And Rick just sneaks around to the front side of the ambulance there just to get a peek at what's going on. Right, so back there in the distance for the governor's team, we have Lily. And she's a tactician. So again, play the objective, which is to kill Rick or 50% of the team. So to do that, she has to get a little bit closer. So she's going to go ahead and 8 inches forward. Herschel is our last survivor on Rick's team needed to activate. We only want Herschel around to keep Rick alive. So we're going to get him to go up just to keep Rick inside of his kill zone. And now back here we have these 3 from the governor's team. All of Rick's team has activated. So we have Martinez, Gloria, and Smitty left over. Doc Stevens is back there hiding behind the tank, but much like Herschel, he's just trying to keep the governor alive. So these guys, they're all going to take shots at Rick's team. We're going to start out with Martinez and see what he's going to do here. So with Martinez, we're going to go and use some rules cheese here. And it says that Martinez has a special rule called Wall Guard. It says all friendly models within his kill zone may reroll blanks when making their shooting attack. So keep that in mind for Gloria and Smitty. Martinez has an M16 assault rifle, which is multiple shots and will give him an extra white to his white and red shooting ability. He's also a marksman, and that gun has the rifle special rule. So we're going to go ahead and have him use both actions to take a shot, giving him an additional white die. So he's going to roll 2 red and 2 white per shot, shooting at Andrea up in the watchtower. The watchtower is 30 inches away. We've already pre-measured it. and his weapon has a 30-inch range. Andrea has 2 red as her defense. She's also wearing body armor, so we're going to reduce any damage taken by 1. And because she's in the elevated position inside the tower, we're going to give her an extra white die in defense. Alright, so Martinez managed to sneak in 1 point of damage to Andrea, but again, because she was wearing that body armor, we go ahead and deduct that, and after 2 rounds of shooting, she takes no damage. Smitty back here has an AR-15, which only has an 18-inch range on it, so he's going to have to get a little closer before he can take a shot. So we're going to take him and 8 inches forward. Gloria back there, marksman as well. She has the Marlin XT-17R with 30 inches of range. So we're going to get her to move up a little bit because currently Andrea is out of sight. So we'll get her to move up for her first action and then take a shot at Andrea for her second. And now that she's in range, that Marlin rifle is going to add an extra white to her white shooting. And remember, Andrea has 2 red and white as her defense. And again, because of that body armor, Andrea makes it out okay, taking no damage. The last survivor is the good doctor back there. Like I said, we just need him to keep the governor alive, so we're not even going to do anything with him. We're just going to let him sit back there. And that is all of these survivor actions for turn 1 here. So there are no supply tokens to pick up in this game. We're going to go ahead and check some kill zones, and then we'll get into our first event card. Alright, so we only had 1 walker to move, and that was the walker over there near Dale, who was moving into contact with him. First event card is going to be Drawn to Chaos. So +1 to the threat, take it back up to 6. And we're in low threat, so we're going to have red walkers enter play from each table edge. Alright, so we roll a 1 there. We bring in 1 walker from each table edge, and we'll up the threat by 1 to 7. So we'll go ahead and start the melee phase with Dale against 1 walker. Dale has a hunting knife, which gives him an additional red, and we'll add that to his white, and he'll be rolling that against 1 purple die for the walker. Dale wins combat there, knocks that walker back when in prone, and now we'll go over to Michonne against 1 walker. Michonne has her katana, so she'll be adding a blue die to her blue base die against 1 purple for the walker. And Michonne can't roll a headshot either, but she does win combat and knocks that walker back an inch in prone. Come over here to Tyrese and Two Walkers against Tom. Now, before we get to the combat, Tom has a special rule called Shove. And so at the beginning of combat in which Tom is engaged, before any attack dice are rolled, he may roll a black die for 1 enemy in base contact. On a badge, that model is moved back an inch away from Tom and may not take part in the combat. So Tom's going to try to shove Tyrese out of contact with him. I noticed at the beginning I wasn't going to show all the dice rolls for this, but this could be a pretty important roll, so we're going to go ahead and record this one. So 1 black die in, and it comes up as a blank. So for this combat, we are going to have Tyrese, who has his hammer, which is Tyrese's hammer, and that gives him an additional white to his double white already as his base. So 3 white dice for Tyrese, in addition to 3 purple dice for the outnumbering walkers. And Tom is going to attack back. Tom has a red and white as his base, and the Gator Pro makes an appearance again, which will give him an additional 2 red dice to add into that. So Tom loses combat there by 2, and the walkers rolled a bite. So that takes him down to 4 wounds left, and he's bitten. We couldn't move him back, so we just kind of spread everyone else apart from him. And now we'll go over to Eugene against 1 walker. Eugene is armed with the felling axe, which gives him 2 white dice in addition to his white and red base melee. He has the stab special rule, so he can re-roll any of the dice from that if he wants to, because the felling axe has the sharp keyword. I don't think he's going to need that though. We're only rolling against 1 purple for a single walker here. So just like all the other walkers in melee combat so far, that guy just gets pushed back an inch and knocked prone. And we'll finish it out with Gabe against 1 walker. Gabe has a machete, which gives him an additional white to his 2 red as his base, again against 1 purple. Someone is able to get rid of a walker in melee combat there. So there are prone walkers all over the board. We're going to go and roll for them to see which ones get back up before we go into turn 2. And at the start of turn 2, the threat has gone up to 8, so we are about to go into medium threat. We're going to start out with the governor because he has initiative this turn, and we're going to go ahead and shoot the cannon on the tank. So he's going to shoot that thing at Andrea, and she's inside the watchtower. The watchtower has 3 scenery points. The tank says if you hit anything with 2 points or less, you go ahead and remove it from play. So what we'll do is put a 1 remaining on there. Not that I think anything else is going to damage the watchtower, but that tank is going to give him an additional blue and 2 red to his shooting value, which is already a white. So he's going to roll blue, white, and 2 red against Andrea's defense and see if he can't blast her off of the board. Before we roll it, this shot is also subject to the blast roll. So the governor is looking for a headshot on one of these dice, or we get to decide where it veers off to within 3 inches. So let's go ahead and roll this. And again, we're not going to record them all, but this is a good one. So there's the headshot. Another 1. And another 1. And a blank. Now we'll roll Andrea's defense. 1. Blank. And 2. So just because we can, we're going to go ahead and press the red button on this tank here. I'll put in a cooler sound effect than that though. And it looks like the Marshmallow Man exploded from Ghostbusters all over the guard tower up there. But that's to simulate the smoke that the shot caused over there. So that's going to mess with Andrea. She only winds up taking 1 point of damage because of her defensive roll, which is pretty amazing. But she can't see through all that smoke. She's going to have to come out of that tower to take her actions there. That's the governor's whole turn. That's going to increase the threat by 2 up to 10, and it creates mayhem from point of, doesn't say if it's the explosion or the tank at this point. So just because, we're going to go ahead and do it from both. So we got Billy up here on the roof. Billy's going to go ahead and take some shots at Tom there in front of Tyrese. So remember, Billy has the AK-47, so we'll add that red to his red and white. We'll go ahead and take all 3 shots at Tom, and Tom's defense is a single white. So it only takes Billy 1 of 3 shots to get rid of Tom because he rolled a ton of headshots there. Unfortunately, he blanked on his ammo reload, which means that his gun is out of ammo for right now. He does have the ammo reload in his pack, so next turn we'll use this action to reload his weapon. The shot there also increased the threat by 1 up to 11 and moved a bunch of those walkers over there near that ladder now. So we're going to come over to the governor's team and take Eugene, and he is going to charge up into combat with Tyrese. Him moving there, that creates noise, which pulls in the closest walker, which was next to that ladder, down into contact with Rick. Rick's team, we're going to have Andrea come down out of the tower and through the door there at the bottom for her first action. And now she's going to take a shot at Gabe with her assault rifle. So again, white to her blue, and Gabe has a defense of 2 white. Alright, so I was hoping for a better result there. After taking 2 shots, Andrea is only able to do 2 points of damage to Gabe. So now we're going over to the governor's team, and we're going to take Lily and move her forward 4 inches this time. Bringing her to there, and then for her second action, she is now going to take a shot at Andrea. So Lily has a Beretta 92, which is a 10-inch ranged weapon. That is going to add an extra white die to her already white die for her base shooting against Andrea's defense of 2 red dice. And Lily does 3 points of damage to Andrea, bringing her down to her last wound. She did roll a headshot, so we'll check on her ammo, which is still good. And now we'll come over here to Rick's team, and we'll go to Dale, who's going to make a small move over and take a shot at Lily with his rifle. So again, Dale's shooting is red and white as his base, with 2 more red because of his Remington rifle, shooting at Lily's defense of just a single white. And if you notice that Walker back there moved into contact with Gabe, that was a result of the mayhem caused by Lily's shot. So Dale is able to blast Lily and completely takes her out of the game. The mayhem moves a ton of walkers around over there. We have the one bend around the corner, come into contact with Andrea. The other one moves over there closer to Dale. The one that was in between the police car and the truck comes into contact with him. It's just Walker Central over there. Alright, so we got Smitty down here in the corner of the screen in the black hat, and he is now within range of Dale. Mark's going to have to shoot at the closest unengaged survivors, if there aren't any, the closest engaged survivor, and we just try and do the 50-50 die to see if we hit him or the Walker. Anyway, Smitty has an AR-15. It is multiple shots with a additional white die to his white base, and we're going to try and shoot at Dale. If we get to shoot at him, he has 2 red as defense. We have to roll the 50-50 die first to see if we hit him or the Walker, though. Alright, so Smitty is able to shoot at Dale. Unfortunately, he only gets off 1 shot and then runs out of ammo. So Dale is able to successfully dodge or matrix his way around the 1 round that came his way. Marksmen in this game do have silencers on their guns, so they only create noise. So we move the closest walker within 10 inches, which is the lady in the yellow dress, and now we are done with Smitty's activation. The board, we're going to go ahead and take Michonne and move her into contact with the lone walker in front of her, just so Andrea doesn't wind up getting double teamed after the kill zones. Go ahead and take Gloria and shift her over a little bit so that she can get a clean shot at Dale up there. So she slides over just a little bit there. She passes the 50-50 die roll, gets her shot off at Dale, does 2 points of damage, dropping him down to 3 left. Remember, that shot's going to create noise, so we'll bring in the lady with the yellow dress, and she is going to make contact now with Gloria. We just got Herschel left on this side of the board to activate, so remember, he wants to help out Rick, so we're just going to take him and push him into combat with that walker. And now Martinez is going to see if he can finish out the job with Dale, so we're going to go ahead and shift him over to the side, much like Gloria, and get a clean shot off at Dale. So Martinez actually rolls and fails, so he hits the walker instead of Dale, headshots him and takes him out, uses the second shot to then shoot at Dale, and causes 2 wounds on him. Couldn't get the 3rd one in. Dale is now down to his last wound back there. Martinez still has rounds left in his gun, so there's always next turn. That was actually all of the player actions on Rick's team. We've gone through them. We've gone through everyone on the governor's team except the doctor, so we're going to get into make a 4-inch sneak action around the side of the tank here. And yes, we should be rolling a panic die for him, but because we're using the single player rules from the No One Stands Alone, I want to call it an expansion. We'll call it an expansion. Models there, at least on the AI team, ignore the panic checks. So that's why we're not going to roll that one. That's all of our player actions for this turn. We'll go ahead and check some kill zones if there are any left to check. Alright, so we got no kill zones to check for. We'll go into our next event card. And it is Mega Herd. So a herd of walkers enters play. The player with initiative, which is the governor, places the first walker using the normal rules. Players alternate, placing all remaining walkers on the same edge within 6 inches of the first. The opposing player, so Rick, nominates a point on the board within 10 inches of the new walkers and moves all the walkers towards that point. We're in medium threat, so we're going to bring on 6 walkers. And so we bring on a ton of walkers there. We brought them all on in that same area because the rules for this scenario say that there's a 3-inch gap on the governor's side of the fence, and that is the walker deployment area. It says anytime walkers come on the board, unless it's marked from a player edge or something like that, they have to come on from that point. So we brought them all on from the bottom point, and we're trying to get them to go through the fence line now. We're going to up the threat by 1 to 12 and go into melee combat. We're going to go ahead and start down with Gloria against a single walker, and Gloria will be rolling a single white in melee against 1 purple for the walker. Gloria ties her combat and just pushes that walker back an inch. We'll go over to Gabe against a single walker, and Gabe has the machete, so we'll be rolling 2 red and white against 1 purple. Gabe knocks him back an inch and prone. We'll pick up the camera and come around here to Andrea against a single walker. Andrea in melee has a single white with no melee weapons against 1 purple for the walker. And Andrea is able to get a headshot there and get rid of that walker. So now we'll have Michonne against 1 walker. Remember, Michonne has 2 blue against 1 purple. And again, we go back an inch and prone. And we'll shimmy the camera around here again a little bit. And we'll have both Rick and Herschel against this walker. So Rick has a red as the base and a white because he's carrying Rick's hatchet. And Herschel will add in an additional red against 1 purple for the walker. And both of their powers combined are only able to tie combat and push that walker back in it. Alright, and the last combat that we have for this turn is going to be Tyrese against Eugene. So we got Tyrese in with Tyrese's hammer, and then we have Eugene with the felling axe. So we have 3 white and 1 red for Eugene, and he's got the stab special rule, so we're going to re-roll that. And then we've got Tyrese there, again with Tyrese's hammer, so 3 white for him. And Tyrese is wearing riot gear, so he's going to make Eugene discard 1 of his dice. So we're going to get rid of that red, and we're going to have 3 white against 3 white. So Eugene is able to win combat there, and he inflicts 1 point of damage onto Tyrese. The board looks very, very different at the end of turn 2 than it did at the end of turn 1. So we're going to go ahead and roll for these prone walkers, see who gets back up. We'll up the threat by 1 to 13, and then we'll come back and we're going to start on turn 3. The start of turn 3, the threat has gone all the way up to 13, so we're about to go into high threat. At the end of turn 2, we rolled for the smoke that was around the guard tower, and that has now dissipated, and Rick's team has the initiative. So we're going to start out with Billy, because he has medium nerve, and I don't want to have to roll for his panic check. So he's still looking over the edge of the tower here, or the edge of the prison, and we can see out there that Gabe is in his sight. So Billy's going to go ahead and use his first action to reload his rifle, and a second action to go and take a couple shots at Gabe. So Billy manages to do nothing but make a bunch of noise. He inflicts no wounds onto Gabe, who has those 2 white dice as defense. And now we'll come around to the governor's team, and we're going to take Eugene and get him to charge right into Tyrese here. All right, now we're going to have Andrea go ahead, and she is going to use both of her actions to get that extra white die added in. So she's going to take a couple shots at Gabe as well and see if anyone can get rid of this huge target. So finally, Andrea is able to take out Gabe with a headshot, so he does not come back as a prone walker, and then she passes her ammo check afterwards, so she still has ammo inside of her magazine. All right, so with Rick's team up 4-0 here, the governor has got to thin out some of that team over there. So we're going to take Smitty and have him take a couple shots at Dale, who is down to his last wound back there. And Smitty again has that AR-15 with an 18-inch range, and it is multiple shot 2. So we're rolling 2 white dice for him. He has the marksman rule as well, so we're going to use both actions for this shot and add in the extra white. So we're going to be rolling 3 white against Dale's 2 red in defense to see if we can get rid of that last wound. All right, and you can see back there that Dale has now been replaced by the appropriate Old Man Walker, as Smitty got rid of him without a headshot. So he's going to come back as a prone walker, and Smitty had the closest walker move over into contact with him, So now he'll have to face them in melee combat. We're going to come back here and see if Rick can finish out the game. And he's going to make a sneak action around the front side of the ambulance to sandwich Eugene between Tyrese and himself. All right, so with Rick out there in the open now, we're going to go ahead and take the governor, and he is going to drive the tank 10 inches forward over top of the prone Walker and be in a position to where next turn he can shoot at and then run into contact with Rick. So the governor rams the fence that's already knocked down, but he doesn't care. He just wants to get to Rick. He jumps off the front of the tank. The mayhem has caused the threat tracker to go up to 15 and pull in a ton of walkers over there near the governor. All right, we got a couple survivors left over here on Rick's team. We have Herschel and Michonne left to activate still. So Herschel has medium threat. We're gonna have to go and take the panic test with him. And then if he passes, we're gonna hope to draw that walker in the green hat over near him. All right, so Herschel rolls the hush action on the panic die, which means he gets to make one action that does not make noise. So he can sneak forward 4 inches and go into contact with that walker. Not exactly what we wanted to happen, but we'll see if it plays out the same way. So we're gonna go and take Martinez here now and move him 8 inches over there towards that blue die so that he can get a clean shot at Michonne. All right, now that he's over there, you can see from his vantage point that he can see Michonne back there. Don't worry, that walker in front of her is prone, so he can shoot right over top of her, unobstructed. And he is going to be firing with his M16, which gives him an additional white to his red and white against Michonne's defense, which is blue, but she's also wearing the riot gear, so he has to discard one of those dice. So we'll drop the red. I'm shooting 2 white with 2 shots at Michonne's blue defense. And we only wind up doing 1 point of damage thanks to that riot gear, and the noise pulls in the closest walker to him. All right, so now with Herschel and that walker in between Michonne and Eugene, she doesn't have enough movement to get all the way over there to try and triple team him. So the next best thing, she's going to go up and try and finish off the governor and run into contact with him. And that'll continue to benefit her as that pulls in the closest walker to him anyway. All right, so on the governor's team, we still have Gloria down here. And remember, Gloria's a marksman, and they're supposed to shoot at the closest unengaged survivor. The only unengaged survivor that Rick's team has left is Andrea. And if you look through this tiny little crack right here, Gloria's got a clear line of sight at Andrea. So we're going to go ahead and use both of her actions to take the marksman shot with her Marlin rifle. So we're going to be using 3 white dice with a single shot to try and take out Andrea, who's down to her last wound. Remember, Andrea has 2 red dice as her defense, and then she's wearing the body armor, so she gets to deduct whatever damage goes through by 1. All right, so if we look through here again, Andrea is not there anymore. Gloria was able to take her out with a headshot, so we don't put a walker down for her. That noise has brought in the closest walker, which was the old man off of the tank. And now we'll come around to the final survivor for the governor's team, which is Dr. Stevens here, and he just wants to stay close to the governor, so we're going to sneak him up 4 inches. All right, so here's our board after all the player actions have been taken in turn 3. And a lot is going to really hinge on the outcome of the melee phase here. Before we get to the event card though, or the melee phase, let's go ahead and check out some kill zones. All right, so we move those walkers around there. The governor is now facing a lot of trouble there along with Smitty. And for our next event card, what could be our last event card is going to be Siren. So all threat levels, the player with initiative, which is Rick, chooses a building or car. We're going to have an alarm go off, creating mayhem instantly. Scene repeats will cause mayhem again at the start of every event phase until a survivor moves into contact with it and uses 2 actions to shut it off. So let's go and make the police car over there have its siren start to go off. Siren car down there, we up the threat tracker by 1, so we're now at 16. And there's only 1 walker that was over there on the other side of the fence within 10 inches that wasn't prone to move up towards it. But now we're going to up the threat again to 17, and we're going to go into the melee phase. Alright, so for the melee phase, we're going to start out back here with Martinez against a single Walker. And Martinez has no melee weapons. He has a white die as his base, and we're rolling that against one purple for the Walker's attack. And you can see in the back there that Martinez won combat, but was only able to knock her back and prone. We'll see if Smitty can do any better. Smitty's going to be fighting off two Walkers here. He also has no melee weapons. He's going to try to defend himself because he has a white in defense, and he'll be rolling that against three purple for the outnumbering Walkers. Alright, so not only does Smitty lose combat there, but he takes 4 wounds and is bitten. So he's down to his last wound. We'll see if he can make it through this turn. Alright, on this side of the fences, we'll come around to Herschel against a single Walker. Herschel's also going to try to defend himself. He has 2 red dice, and the Walker will have 1 purple for the attack. So Herschel's going to go and lose combat there. He is not bitten though. He does drop 1 wound, and he has 4 left. Let's go over here to Rick and Tyrese, both against Eugene. And we'll talk about what we're going to roll right here. We set the camera right there, and it looks like a cage match. So Eugene is going to be attacking, and he'll be attacking with the fire axe. So he has a red and a white with 2 additional red dice because of the axe. And Rick has a red and a white in melee. He'll get to add an additional red if he rolls a headshot because of Rick's hatchet. And then Tyrese similarly has 2 white as his base, and with Tyrese's hammer, he adds in an additional white. Again, if he rolls a headshot, he will get to add in an additional red. So that's a lot of dice. We'll see how it works out. And after all that, we wind up with a tie combat. The fire axe that Eugene is carrying, in addition to his stab special rule so that he can re-roll any of those dice, is a ridiculous combination. Let's go over to the last combat here, and that's going to be Michonne and Two Walkers against the Governor. So Michonne's going to be rolling 2 blue, and we're going to have 3 purple for the Walkers against the Governor, who is going to defend himself with a blue, and he can get them to drop 1 of the attacking dice because of the prison gear. I went over what I thought was going to be the dice rolls there. Let me explain this a little bit more because Michonne has some crazy special rules that we have to take into account. So she has a blue as her base melee attack. She adds an additional blue because she has Michonne's katana. That adds the sharp rule. She has a stab special rule, so we can re-roll that if we'd like to. She also has the Grim Vendetta special rule that says when performing any attack against Brian Blake, add another white. So we're going to be rolling 2 blue and 1 white for Michonne's attack that are re-rollable, plus the 3 purple dice for the outnumbering Walkers. The Governor rolls a blue in defense, but then he's wearing the body armor, so we have to drop off 1 of the attacking dice. So we're going to drop the white die that she gets from the Grim Vendetta roll 2 blue dice, 3 purple dice against 1 blue in defense. And we'll roll that through our 9 Realms Gaming dice tower here. So this will be the combined attack for Michonne and the 2 Walkers. So that's 4, blank, 5, and 6. And now we'll roll for Brian's defense. 2. So we have 4 wounds go through. So the Governor makes it through there, and he has 2 wounds left. We split that combat all to pieces, and that's going to be the end of this turn. The threat's going to go up to 18, which would have the game end. We got a lot of prone Walkers to roll for, and we actually had to see if Smitty dies from his infection. Back to the dice tower, this is a very important roll. If Smitty dies from the infection, Rick will have taken out half of the Governor's team, and he'll get the win. If not, Smitty lives, and it's a tie game. So we're looking for a badge to survive and a blank to fail. So we rolled a blank, and Smitty dies from his infection. Alright, and with Smitty dying, that gives Rick the victory. Threat Tracker reaches 18 at the end of this round because we're playing by solo rules, and we have to up it at the end of each turn. That was a great game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure that you like the video and subscribe so you can come back for more. Make sure you check out the description down below. There are a couple of discount codes for these buildings from Blacksite, for dice towers from other companies, and for battle mats from P-Work Wargames. We'll use one of them in the next battle report. Make sure you guys come back and check that out, and I'll see you in that one.